Alright, I think we're live. What's up, everyone? So last time that I was on stream, I talked about how I've sort of restructured my life around both vibe coding and meditation. And so today was gonna be my first stream where I really like show sort of my process. We're gonna be just doing a lot of coding projects on stream today. It should be fun. I want to talk about there's Chiper in the background. We just came back from a nice walk. Let me just make sure I got all my like chats and stuff set up here. Where did my... Damn, one of my chats disappeared. Let me see. Okay, I think I got it back. I think so. Let's see here. That didn't quite do what I wanted. Okay, I guess I've... Oh, there's my chat. Nice. There we go. There we go. Yes, do I have all my chats now? I believe I have all my chats now. Let's go to multi-chat. What's up, Valak? It's good to see you, homie. It's been a while. How have you been, man? Yes, it is I, Long John Silvers, the one and only. Tandy, it's good to see you, homie. Let me talk about how I like to structure my day in general, in terms of being productive. Let me open a notepad here, and let's see. Okay, there's my 4 monitors. You guys see my 4 monitors? Wonderful. Wonderful. Shit, what did I just do? There we go. I got my notepad file. Great. Okay, so what are my goals roughly? Rough goal is maximize productivity on coding projects while minimizing personal stress. Okay? Slash maximizing time for personal slash familial things. Alright, so this is my goal essentially. I want to be making as much progress as possible while being as chill as possible. I think that's a good combination of things. And historically, traditionally, we think of these things as pretty much at odds with each other, right? But the LLM era changes that, because now we have robots that can do all this stuff for us, or a lot of stuff for us, not everything, but can do a lot of stuff for us. And the question then becomes, how do we make the most of these LLMs? Yo, Tech Balls, what's up? It's good to see you, man. How are we going to make the most of these LLMs? Because historically, if you want to make as much progress on coding projects as possible, you're just programming all the time, right? That's what you're doing. If you're not programming, you're doing the other aspects of computer science. You're designing, you're researching, whatever. But our goal is to get the LLMs to take as much off our plate as possible, right? So typically, how I try to structure my day, I won't say I succeed at this every single day, because every day is its own journey. Jackson, thank you for the sub, homie. I appreciate that. It's good to see you, man. Alright, so typically how do I start my day? So, start of day is like real basic stuff that pretty much everyone does, or everyone with a dog, I guess. So, I wake up, give Chiper breakfast. Chiper's my dog. You see him back there? See the homie? Here, I'm gonna give you a better shot at the homie. There he is. Look at him. He's the greatest dog ever. He's better than your dog. Okay? All dogs are amazing. Don't get me wrong. But he's also better than your dog. So, let's go back to Notepad. Yeah, wake up, give Chiper breakfast, do personal hygiene stuff, and then take Chiper for his morning walk. And then give Chiper his morning dental chew. And that's like my, sort of morning routine. He's a Pomeranian. He's a throwback Pomeranian. So a throwback Pomeranian is they are pure Pomeranians, but basically 10% of Pomeranians have a special gene in them that makes them like twice as big as all the others. So he's actually like twice as big as all of his brothers and sisters. He's a massive Pomeranian. But yeah, he's a Pom. So my morning routine has nothing to do with coding whatsoever, right? Nothing to do with coding whatsoever. It's just getting the basics out of the way, because like these are just things you have to do, right? So now the question is, how do we... You got a Run Pomeranian? That's awesome, dude. Run Pomeranians are also great. He and Run Pomeranians definitely get along with each other very well. He's always very excited to meet other Pomeranians. I've noticed that some breeds are like really happy to meet others. He loves meeting other Pomeranians. He loves meeting other Shibas. He loves Shibas. I don't know why. Shibas love him. He loves Shibas. He loves Corgis. Maybe it's because they're all like a similar. It's possible it's because they're all a similar color and size. You know, they say dogs are colorblind, but technically they can see like yellows pretty well actually. So I don't know if my dog just like prefers that kind of orangey yellow dog. Maybe he reacts to it somehow. Jonathan, how are you, homie? It's good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. So this is my start of day, and this has nothing to do with coding, right? So like, once we do all this shit, right? Once I take my shit, once Chiper takes his shit, then the question is, how are we going to spend the rest of the day? So ideally, what we do most of the day is we let the LLMs do stuff while I do other stuff, right? Maybe I'm letting the LLMs work on some coding projects while I'm cooking breakfast or cooking lunch, or maybe I'm letting them run while I'm meditating, or maybe I'm letting them run while I'm playing with Chiper, or maybe I'm letting them run while I make some music, you know, or maybe I'm letting them run while I play Melee or some other video game, right? So like, there's also things that I want to do in my personal life for my personal fulfillment and Chiper's fulfillment, and ideally, I want to be spending most of the day letting LLMs do things with as little involvement from me as possible, while I do my things, right? So what in practice that means is that usually toward the start of the day, I need a dedicated block of time focusing on the LLMs to make sure my role as a manager is sort of in place, right? Because that's what you are. When you go from programming yourself to getting a bunch of LLMs working for you, at that point, you're essentially a project manager rather than a direct engineer, right? And you need to adopt that mindset, which is not something I've ever done professionally. I've only ever been a research engineer. So we got our automation block. Can you guys still hear me when I don't hold a mic next to me? Yeah, we got our automation block where here we get momentum on large number of LLM projects. Yes, but not too good. All right, I'll keep it near me. All right, if I just see, I should probably just like get a boom for this mic, but I don't know. I like the feeling of gripping it and like holding it like this. So I guess I'll just type with one hand. So we get momentum on a large number of LLM projects. Typically after the initial block of time, I have fewer LLMs running at once because there is some overhead as you use these LLMs. You have to keep track of like how much progress it's made, where it's at. You got to test its results, right? And you have to give it more commands. And so there's always going to be some amount of overhead when you use these LLMs. And so towards the end of the day, usually I'm focusing on maybe 2 to 3 projects based on like what I feel like I'm making the most momentum on, what's easiest for me to execute on. But towards the start of the day, I want to get momentum on pretty much as many of my projects as possible so that I sort of have a clear head as to where I am with everything, right? And this is also the block of time where like if I'm in like a rough spot on project, maybe like the LLM is really struggling, maybe I need to like fundamentally alter some design, maybe I need to like research something. This block of time up here is when I would spend doing that, so I can kind of get momentum on everything. Because when I'm trying to multitask between running LLMs and whether it's meditating, hanging out with my dog, cooking, whatever, if I don't already have the flow of execution, then I'm not going to really be able to start the flow of execution. So it's important to have this kind of automation block early on. So we get momentum on a large number of LLM projects, and then later in the day, I guess I'll add some notes here. This includes to-dos for all projects, getting LMs running on all projects, checking current status on all projects, removing bottlenecks on all projects, right? So that's basically what we're going to do in the automation block. And this is mostly what I'm going to be streaming today. In the future, I want to be streaming a lot more of it. I simply do not have the technology right now. TechBalls in chat has recommended me some technology to get to accomplish other things. But this stream will be focused mostly on the automation, simply because that's what I've set up for streaming. But in the future, I hope to make my cameras more flexible, stuff like that. So I can go cook while I do this. I can go meditate while I do this. I can go to the park with Chiper while I do this. Whatever, right? So in the future, I would like that on stream, but for now, I'm going to be focusing mostly on this, and I might do a little bit stuff here that is possible to do here. Okay, so later in the day, continue momentum on smaller number of projects, let's say 2 to 3. And up here, this is just as many as possible. I have about 10 projects I would like to make momentum on. I'd say right now I'm at like 6, so we're gonna put 6 for now. I don't say I didn't have any momentum yesterday because it was really hot. Oh yeah, that's one thing, guys. As soon as my room gets too hot, I'm leaving. I'm dipping from the stream. You guys see that box right there? You see that box right there? That box right there. That is my new air conditioner. I have, in 30 plus years, never bought my own air conditioner, and I suffer in the summer every year because I hate the heat. So as soon as it gets too hot in my room, I'm dipping to set that thing up, and then hopefully everything will be much more awesome after that. Right now, it's feeling pretty cool. I got my fan running. Actually, I got multiple fans running. Before I got the air conditioner, I got 3 of these and a tower fan over here that you can't see off camera. I love the wind. I love the air circulation, but I do need the room to be a bit cooler. So I'll set that air conditioner up in a bit after stream. But yeah, so later in the day, continue momentum on smaller number of projects. And which projects I choose is mostly going to be just based on instinct. It's going to be based on what do I immediately know what to work on, what do I not feel stuck on, etc. And simultaneously, personal fulfillment. And what the hell does personal fulfillment mean? Well, it means meditation. I think meditation is very important. This is something I talked about a bit last stream, and it's something I'll be talking about a lot on all of my streams going forward because it becomes just such a fundamental part of my life. I truly never realized how impactful meditation could be. I'll be honest, before I how do I put this? So for many years, I'd off and on meditated in like a very shallow way and not really gotten much progress or anything useful with it. And I always thought it was like an interesting novelty. And when people told me that they meditated, I would always kind of think of it in terms of, oh, that's a cool hobby you have. It didn't click for me how incredibly fundamental meditation can be to life and how incredibly life transforming it can be. At some point last year, I really broke through on it, and it really changed my perspective on it. So meditation, I think of as very fundamental to my personal fulfillment. Cooking, because I need to eat. If I don't eat, they tell me I'll die. It's never happened, but I take their word for it. Spend time with Chyper. Because Chyper's my homie. I spend time consuming art. I spend time creating art. And by art, for me, this usually means music and games. It can mean other things. It can mean TV. It can mean a podcast. It can mean any kind of creative form, I suppose. For me, it usually means music and video games because, at least for me, those are simply the artistic media that I appreciate the most. Yeah, so typically I start off the day with a chunk just dedicated to getting as much momentum across a lot of projects at once, and then later in the day I'm just trying to continue momentum on a few projects while being happy, essentially. Make sense? And I might do a little bit of other stuff on stream. Oh, and there's also non-fulfilling things. This is like chores, and this can also include now editing videos from streams. I don't really like editing, but I think it's important if I want to do this, right? So, have I published any music? Yes, sir, I have. If you go to Spotify and look up Axioms, you can see my debut EP. I released it 2 years ago, and I'm hoping to release another EP relatively soon. It's I guess you can call my style like an electronic rock fusion. I don't know. I'm bad with genres, so whatever you want to call it. But yeah, if you check it out, I hope you like it. So yeah, we're gonna get started with some automation. Sometimes, so I don't do this exact routine every single day. Sometimes I wake up feeling really hungry, in which case, I will prioritize cooking first. Some days I'll wake up feeling very scatterbrained, in which case I will prioritize doing meditation first, right? So it's not like I'm super rigid about this. I do go with the flow to some extent, but this is like a basic template of how I try to approach things, okay? And so we're going to get started on doing some coding soon. before I do that, I'm gonna do something very cool in my room. Oh shit, what did I do? I switched workspaces when I meant to do that. Hi. So, my friend is visiting, and he showed me something very cool. So as you can see, I've got some like colored lights around me. I also have this fan. I'm also a musician, so I've got some like music equipment. I show it if I like. Yeah, you guys can see like my audio phone, my speakers and stuff. This is why I need a better stream setup, but that's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. So I have all these things that I like to use to like sort of give myself a rich sensory experience. I think that's important, especially after meditating. I think what I find when I meditate is that it starts with me connecting to myself, and then it ends with me wanting to connect outward. And outward initially means connecting to my senses. So I really like having really nice sensory stimuli across all my senses. So I have this tactile sense from the wind. I have this color around me for lights. I want to actually get, some more interesting lights, but at least for now I've got some basic colors and stuff going on. I have the sound system for sound, but one sense that I don't have, or I didn't up until this point, was smell. I didn't have like nice smells through my room. It was just, I have the window open, so I feel like a fresh air smell, right? But it's not interesting, it's not as rich and vibrant as it could be, right? So I'd considered various things, I'd considered scented candles and incense and reed diffusers. I'd never actually tried any of them. I guess I'd kept putting it off, partially because I'm vaguely aware that when it comes to scents, you have to do some research to make sure your dog is okay with it, and I just sort of hadn't done that research yet. But yesterday, my friend showed me a cool, easy trick. A cool, easy trick. Let me show you guys. 1 second. 1 second. Let's see. Where's my paper towel roll? Oh, it's back here. It's back here. Okay. Okay. So, dude, this baby's so happy. This baby's so happy when he showed me this. So, real simple stuff. I fold up a paper towel, and then I use one of my many cooking oils, some of which are floral. So I've got this lavender essential oil, and I'm just gonna dab the paper towel a bit and put it behind the fan. And then my entire room just smells of lavender, and it's fucking awesome, so I'm gonna do that. It's a good amount of lavender. I'm gonna stick it in the fan back here. And now everything smells like lavender, and it's awesome. This makes me very happy. I really like just nice sensory things. I think they can be very calming if you're able to focus on them. All right, and so now that everything smells like lavender, we can do some coding. Ooh la la. Ooh la la. All right, so last stream I summarized like a whole bunch of things in an hour, and I think all of them I'll probably need to go more in depth a bit in the future. So one of the things I talked about was how do I approach making the most of these LLMs? How do I maximize my productivity with these LLMs? So part of it is having this kind of schedule that I showed you, but there's some more basic things than that. So how do I maximize my LLM productivity? Okay. So beginner tier. That's sort of how I think about it. Like, there's the basics, there's the intermediates, there's the advanced. And right now I'm kind of at the intermediate stage. I think there's more I could do. I want to use LLMs to give me the tools to allow me to progress more, but we'll get to that. So beginner tier. This is real simple stuff. First of all, if you want to maximize your LLM productivity, you need to have a lot of LLM agents running across many projects. Really trivial concept, right? If you want to make the most of your agents, have a lot of them and working on a lot of stuff, right? Real easy. But as soon as you do that, as soon as you have a lot of agents working on a lot of stuff, you quickly realize that you are going to need some more scaffolding to even be able to manage this insane situation. So, the next obvious thing is multiple monitors. If you're trying to make the most of vibe coding, I would recommend having at least 2 monitors. It helps a lot, I think. Just being able to organize all the extra information. I have 4 monitors, as you guys can see on the screen. You guys can see on both the vertical and horizontal stream that I have 4. Yeah, I got 4 screens showed up. One of them is big because I think of that as my main monitor, and you'll see why I think of it that way. Like, I don't want to be craning my neck all the time, and so I have some tooling set up to prevent me from doing that, but we'll get to that. I have multiple monitors set up. I have remote desktop on other machines set up. And this is very cool because if I go upstairs to the kitchen to do some cooking, then I can just hang it on my laptop while I'm cooking and like get some stuff done, you know. And I'm not even like thinking about it that hard, right? You know, I'm just sending LLM, oh, here's an instruction. It's off my mind now. I'm going to go, you know, chop my vegetables, chop my tofu, spice my pan, whatever it is, right? And then I really like having remote desktop on my phone as well. Remote desktop on phone, it's definitely not convenient, you know, compared to on an actual computer. But if I'm just taking a walk or something, which I love to do, I like to just go for walks, you know. If I'm going for like a walk for like an hour or something, it's nice to just be able to check on the LMs, be able to send a few instructions here and there. Like, it's nice to feel like I'm making some progress on things, even when I'm just like doing some purely peaceful for me activity, right? So having a remote desktop on my other machines is really important. So this is the sort of beginner tier of maximizing LLM productivity. Lots of agents, lots of monitors to see your agents on, lots of machines with remote desktop so that you can be flexible about when you are working with these agents, right? But we can get better than this. We can get better with this. Intermediate tier. These are going to be tools, software tools specifically designed to make multi-project management easier. So we're going to say make multiple projects possible, I guess. We're going to say make multiple projects manageable. That's how you spell manageable, right? It's been a long time since I needed to learn how to spell. Then for advanced tier, it's make the LLMs as smart as possible. And this is something that I would say that I haven't really started making progress on, but it's something that as I continue to stream and I continue to work on this, it's something we'll get into. I can talk about my ideas for this here, but it's not as important as the intermediate tier. So what's our intermediate tier? Making multiple projects manageable. How do we do this? Well, there's 2 pieces of software I talked about last time I streamed, which was Sunday. And I'll be talking about them today again, and you'll be seeing them basically every time I go live because they are a very fundamental part of my workflow at this point. So there's Cerberus and there's Minflow. I don't know if these names are going to change or not. So Cerberus is a multi-workspace manager, and I'll explain what that means. Pseudo virtual desktops. And then Minflow is a to-do list app targeted at multi-project management. Because there's lots of to-do list apps out there for all sorts of people with all sorts of priorities, I guess. For me, my priority is being able to manage a lot of projects at once and being able to execute quickly across all of them, and Minflow is what I've designed to do that. Am I going to stream tomorrow? Probably. If not tomorrow, definitely the day after. Yeah, so these 2 pieces of software are very, very critical to my workflow. You gotta go, dude. Thanks for hanging out, man. I appreciate it. Hope to see you again either tomorrow or the day after. So, let me show you guys my multiple workspace manager once again. As you guys can see around my main monitor, I have this cyan border. I have this little 10 in the lower right. You guys see this 10? And as you can see on the other 3 screens I have, on the other 3 monitors, I also have these like numbers on the lower right. And as you can see, as I move my cursor from monitor to monitor, each one like lights up with the border around it. So that's how I know that's my active monitor, and that's where my cursor is. And so what Cerberus does is it lets me assign each of my windows to a single one monitor workspace. And then if I want to only look at windows associated with that workspace, then I can just bring up that workspace. So let me show you what I mean. So if I bring up, let's do Alt-Shift, what's the command? Alt-Shift-H. So this is all the stuff Cerberus can do, right? So let me show you the basics of how this works. So up here we see workspace switching. This is the fundamental thing that Cerberus does. So we have 20 workspaces to work with. We can click Alt plus a number key to go through the first 10 workspaces. We can click Control Alt and a number key to go through the last 10 workspaces, giving us 20 total. And basically each window is going to be assigned to one of these workspaces. And I can show you that right now. So if I do Alt-Shift-W, see it right here, shows right here, Show Workspace Map. So if I do Alt-Space-W, I hope this text isn't too small for you guys. I might tell Claude to make this bigger just so you guys can see it on stream better. Can you guys read this? Can you guys read this? So as you can see, I have a whole bunch of workspaces. It shows, okay, on monitor 1, I've got workspace 3 over here. On monitor 2, I have workspace 10, which I guess is what my main monitor is right now. Monitor 3, I have workspace 2. Monitor 4, I have workspace 4. So it shows me which workspace I currently have loaded on each of my 4 monitors. And it just shows me for all the workspaces I have, which windows are currently associated with it, right? So my workspace 2, for example, I've got my actual YouTube channels set up so that I can read YouTube chat. There should be a way for me to do this in OBS, but I'm lazy and dumb, so I haven't figured it out. And anyway, that's just an example. In workspace 5, I got some music stuff. I got my DJ software. And so the idea with Cerberus, in terms of how I'm going to use it with multiple LLMs, is that each of my LLM projects will be assigned to one workspace. Okay? And right now I think that's gotten kind of screwed up, so we're going to go ahead and like assign some things real quick. I've got all of these different terminals down here that I want to assign. And there's a way to simply assign a window to our workspace, which is Alt-Shift number or Control-Alt-Shift number, depending on which of workspace you're trying to do. So we're going to go ahead and assign all of our workspaces real quick. That's going to make things easier for us. Okay, so this is my this project was for, so for a while I was working on an automatic music visualizer generator so that I can make TikToks more easily. I kind of gave up on this project because it seems like it wasn't very good TikTok content anyway, but I think I might want to continue this just in terms of being interested in music visualizers as part of like how both in terms of enhancing my room and sort of complementing the music itself. I think music visualizer can be pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and assign this to workspace 18. Here, this is what I'm going to do actually. Let me bring up MinFlow real quick. MinFlow is not currently assigned to workspace 1. Let's go ahead and assign it real quick. Okay, so this over here is MinFlow. It's my to-do list app. Yeah, maybe it makes more sense for me to show you MinFlow real quick before I show you assigning all the windows in Cerberus, because I definitely use these apps together to maximize my productivity. Let's switch to MinFlow here. So MinFlow is my to-do list app. I went over this last time I was on stream, but for those of you who haven't seen it, this is the to-do list app that I'm currently working on. At some point, both these pieces of software will be publicly available. I simply haven't gotten there yet, but at some point, both of these pieces of software, I do intend for them to be publicly available because they have both helped me tremendously. Like, I really cannot understate how much they've helped me, and I hope they can help other people too. So this is my app I use to manage a whole lot of projects at once. You guys have, I'm sure, seen various to-do list apps. You know, there's what is it? It's called? Is it called Noello? I forget what it's called. There's like Todoist, this Taskware. There's also the different to-do list apps depending on what your style is. I'm a very visual person. I'm a very, very visual person, and I'm also someone who's trying to do a lot of things in parallel. And so the way I've set up this to-do list app, you see each of these kind of sticky note looking things. You can think of each of these as like a sticky note. If you ever use a sticky note app, but it's got more stuff going on than just being a sticky note. Each of these is a deck. Think of it as like a deck of cards. So in this analogy, a deck is a project, and each card in the deck is a task to do in that project to make progress toward that project, right? So if we look over here at the Chyper project, I want to feed him breakfast. I want to take him on his morning walk. I want to give him his dental chew. I want to put a dental solution in his water. I want to prepare his Kong. A Kong is like a dog toy that you can stuff with treats, etc., etc., etc. So each of these is a card in the deck, okay? And so when you have this main display with all your decks, it's only showing you the top card of each deck. Why is that important? Because the top card is the next thing to execute, which means that if I want to quickly switch between projects, I look at my min flow, I look at the decks that I'm currently working on, I look at what the top card is, and I say, okay, I know what I'm doing next. So the goal of this is to minimize my context switching inefficiency. I think by default people are very bad at switching context between a whole lot of things. That's why you typically don't see people split their time between a whole lot of projects. And I will say that in the past, before Claude Code came out in March and before I worked on these pieces of software, I struggled a lot with context switching. I would spread myself very thin over a whole bunch of things I love to do, and switching between them was hell. It would just be like, I don't know how to describe it. It was like all the wires in my brain would be tangled, and I'd be trying to untangle them between each project that I would switch between. And so MinFlow has helped me a lot. It's called MinFlow. It just stands for Minimalist Workflow. I might change the name before I release it. And just I don't know, some name I came up with. So we can keep some notes here about like our Cerberus tabs. And so over here, all the ones I have over here, these are my coding projects, okay? I kind of like position these sticky notes based on what kind of project it is. That helps me sort of visualize what I'm doing. So over here, all of these are my coding projects. These are all my like sort of core life things, you know, taking care of me, taking care of my family. Over here is like chores and errands, and over here is art. And then in the middle here is my stream, right? So I've got these sort of positions, and then I have all this color coding set up and this size coding and shape coding, and I'll explain that too. So the way that's set up, I'll explain size first because I think it's the most intuitive. You can resize all of these sticky notes arbitrarily, and the reason that's useful is because typically when you have a million projects you're working on at once, some of them are higher priority than others. And when you're switching between a lot of projects, it's really important to be able to quickly know what your high priority stuff is so that you don't waste time on your low priority stuff. So I make the high priority stuff bigger so that it catches my eye right away. I can look at this and very quickly know, okay, these are the most important things for me to work on. The most important thing is that I take care of my dog and that I am, you know, healthy, right? That's like probably the most important thing. And then after that is, you know, making sure my stream is going, because my stream kind of connects everything else for me, because I'm trying to, you know, live a lot of my life on stream. And then after that, like I have all my coding projects, and these have like, you know, or actually after that I've got like some like errands going on, like these are important, you know, balancing my budget, stuff like that's important, so I've got this pretty big. Then after that I've got, you know, my coding projects, and these have different sizes to them based on like how high priority or low priority they are, etc., etc., etc. etc. Yeah, did I? Okay, there's my notepad. And then I can filter these even more. So I have colors which quickly tell me what domain of the project is. So like all my red decks, for example, are pretty directly associated with AI. All my yellow decks are pretty directly associated with gaming. Like these are 2 game engine projects that I'm working on. You know, Chyper is an orange dog, so you know I give him an orange deck. All my purple decks are about like creative experiences, you know. So like I'm using color coding to also quickly get a sense of what domains in my life am I making the most progress in. Am I like balancing things in my life well, stuff like that. And then I use shapes as a digital filter as well. And you can use shapes however you want. The way I use it is like do things like, oh, pentagons are like meta improvement. So like I have all these coding projects which are hexagons, octagons. I can't count sides. But this pentagon is a pentagon so that it tells me, oh, this is not a coding project. This is something I want to work on to get better at coding projects. So in this case, it's reading about the state of the art, learning about the current AI advancements, seeing other people's opinions about LLM coding and deep networks and all of that. And so this is how I use color and size and shape to sort of organize all my information. And down here, you guys can see I have all these filters for filtering this information further. So if I only want to look at my really high priority stuff, only my big projects, I can do this, and bam, all the small decks just disappear, and I can just focus on like the most important stuff, right? So this is how MinFlow is set up. It's meant to be very visual. It's meant to be very multitask oriented. It's meant to minimize my context switching inefficiency. It's meant to quickly tell me what's high priority, what's low priority, what domains am I making progress in, which ones am I not, right? So the combination of this and Cerberus I use to make as much progress with LLMs as possible. So I'm gonna just sort these by, I guess, workspace. That's how I like to think about it. Oopsie doopsie. I'm just going to set it up 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And some of them I'm not really going to make progress on today. Because I haven't entirely decided what the first step is, for example. But, yeah, we're going to go ahead and assign some of these. So, alright. One by one we'll assign them. So this is my music visualizer stuff. Which, let me bring up MinFlow on my other screen so I can see it still. So that's, you see how Cerberus works right there? I could just like make my workspace jump to another monitor. And so over here, this is my music visualizer stuff, and I'm going to set that to workspace 18. So that's going to be Alt-Shift-Control-8, and it just went to workspace 18. What's my next one over here? This is Cerberus, so this is my workspace 11, Control-Alt-Shift-1. Usually I don't have to manually assign all of these because I just have them saved from the previous session I was working on. But me and my friend who were visiting were just doing a bunch of stuff on my computer, so things have gone a little bit out of sync. So I'm just resyncing things real quick. What's this one over here? This one is for MinFlow. Okay. Control-Shift-2. This one is for Metacloud. Control-Shift-3. This one is for... This one's also for Metacloud, so Control-Shift-3. Sometimes I'll have multiple windows on one workspace. Sometimes just one, sometimes multiple. It just depends on what I'm doing, you know. Sometimes I might want both the terminal and a VS Code session so I can see both the code and the program output. Sometimes I might have multiple terminals just depending on what I'm doing. Okay, this is the AI research project I started working on. It's up here called Oscillating L1. I can talk about this in a bit. It hasn't been very successful so far, but I can talk about it in a bit. Control-Shift-5. And then, did I miss one? So this one I haven't really started on, so I'm going to do Control-Alt-Shift-6. And now if you take a look at our full list of windows, Alt-Shift-W, we can see that all these have been assigned. We have stuff in workspace 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 18. Some of these numbers are blank. There's no 14, there's no 17 yet. It's because I'm not, fully 100% sure how to start on those projects yet. Maybe next time I'm on stream, I'll, make some momentum on those. But I want to just, showcase the process this stream, so I'm not going to, worry too much about that right now. Okay. So let me drink some water real quick. My throat's getting a bit dry. Alright, so Cerberus has been assigned. Now the next thing to do is actually get started on momentum on, I guess, these 6 projects. We'll start making some momentum on. Maybe not all 6, I'll see as we work on it. But let's start by making progress on all 6. So we got MinFlow. Let me switch MinFlow to this monitor because it's easier for me. I love Cerberus, man. I love being able to just switch monitors whenever I feel like. Yeah, look at that. Look at that shit. I love that shit, dude. It makes me still feel so powerful just being able to move all these windows around. Okay, so Cerberus. Cerberus is mostly done, but my friend who's over came up with a very cool idea yesterday that I want to implement. Control arrow shortcuts, or I guess Alt arrow shortcuts. So I currently have shortcuts for switching to a specific workspace or sending a window to a specific workspace. Why did this fail? Oh no, did our work on MinFlow yesterday screw up my server connection? What the heck? Oh no. Let's take a look at this real quick. Can't establish a connection to localhost. Oh shit, is it because he changed the... It used to be hard-coded to localhost, and I guess now it's not. Fuck. Damn, that's too bad. That's too bad. Okay, well, we'll do this without MinFlow today. I'll showcase MinFlow more tomorrow. Because I need to talk with my friend about what exactly he did here so we can fix it. But we'll just work on MinFlow today. Oh, sorry, we'll work on just using Cerberus today to make progress on things. That's okay. Is aight. So I won't be able to show the whole functionality, guys, and I also won't really be able to show my updates to MinFlow. That's actually a little bit annoying. Let me message my friend real quick to see if he knows how I can quickly go back to how things were. Basically, my friend was helping me deploy this as an actual app, and some changes were made in the process. Oh, you're watching the stream. Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so now this will work. Network error when attempting to fetch resource. Alright. We'll figure out MinFlow later. It's not too big a deal. Restart. Oh, just restart the NPM server. Okay, that works. Oh, NPM is not even currently running. Ah, there we go. Thank you, homie. Watching the stream just had an idea that the workspaces could have a name in addition to the number. Then the workspace could be displayed as for Cerberus or whatever. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Where do you think it should be displayed? I guess what I could set it up is as a... I could set up an additional hotkey so that we could have a verbose overlay versus a non-verbose overlay. I think that could be cool. So maybe the name should go in the lower left or something. I think that could be cool. Please install... Bro, what is going on? Why is this failing now? Are we good? See if we're good. All right, looks like we might be good. All right, cool. All right, cool. Thank you so much, homie. Appreciate that. All right, we're back and we have MinFlow working. All right, so let's go ahead and add some cards to this. So first of all, this is the Alt arrow shortcuts. So right now we can assign any window to any workspace with a direct number, and we can switch to any workspace with a direct number. But my friend had this really interesting idea of what if you could just cycle through all the workspaces with like your arrow keys or something. I thought that would be a very cool feature. That's a really cool idea. So I want to implement that. It's a new idea for a verbose overlay in which we get a little more information about what's going on. We have to think about a way to name the overlays. I need to think about like how that looks design-wise. But we'll go ahead and put that in our to-do list. I don't think I'm gonna get rid of the stream outline. I don't need that. And then MinFlow, I've got some stuff that I want to do. Metacloud, I'll show you guys what Metacloud is in a second. Oscillating L1 is my current AI research project. And then Versus is a game engine we're focusing on. And I guess these 5 will be like... These 5 will be like a good starting point, just like get some momentum today. And it's already starting to get a little bit warm, so I don't know how much longer I will survive in this heat, but we'll see. You're a channel growth strategist. Good for you, homie. All right, so we have all of these. I'm gonna go ahead and just filter out hex octagons so we can only look at our coding projects. So we have all of these tasks to work on. So let's start working on these tasks. Let me move MinFlow over to my other monitor here. Let me get stuff working over here. Okay, so I started working on a Control-Z feature and I didn't fully test it. So I need to check with Claude where we are on that feature. So I think in MinFlow, I'm going to go ahead and move Control-Z up here. So by control... Oh, shoot. When I rearranged that, it undid the filter. That's a bug. Womp womp. That's a bug. Well, it's a good thing we found that bug. So let's go ahead and add that to here. Reordering... Or bug. Reordering card list resets filter. Is this also going to reset it? Okay, it looks like actually any kind of modification ends up resetting the filter. So that might be an initial thing to work on. But at first I need to check with it what its current status on Control-Z is. It might be like halfway into like working on this, that's a disaster situation. I need to ask it. Okay. Previously I had asked you to implement a Control-Z feature. It was never fully tested, and I don't remember if I asked you to revert those changes. Don't edit the code. Give me the current status on the Control-Z feature. Does enter key not work? There we go. Okay, and while that does something, I'm going to switch over to Cerberus, and we're going to tell it to do some stuff. All right. New feature. Alt plus up arrow hotkey should switch active monitor to the next unused workspace numerically. As in, it should allow the user to iterate through unused workspaces. Alt plus down arrow should do the same thing in the opposite direction. Don't edit the code yet. Make a plan. This is something I do a lot when I vibe code, by the way. So as you vibe code, something you'll realize is that there are definitely certain best practices, and if you vibe code naively, you will get disastrous results. Vibe coding, I think, has a really bad reputation because of this. I mean, there are certain things vibe coding does like struggle with, don't get me wrong, but part of why vibe coding has such a bad reputation is that if you do it naively, you get terrible results. There are certain rules of thumb you can use to get much better, more stable results. And you guys will see me use certain idioms over and over again as we code. One of my favorite idioms is, don't edit the code, make a plan. Claude, so I use Claude Code for all of my coding. It's absolutely my favorite LLM. I've tried others. I've tried ChatGPT. I've tried Gemini a bit. I've tried Grok a bit. I know others swear by them. Personally, I find Claude Code to be by far the best. I won't say I've like super extensively tested everything, but this is my impression so far. So I really like Claude a lot. One of the things I find is that if I tell Claude to not edit the code and said make a plan first, I get much better results. Not the only idiom I use, but one of many idioms I use. I'll go ahead and tell it to do that. Alright, Metacloud. Let me show you guys what Metacloud is. So Metacloud is something I started working on quite a while ago. Actually, pretty much like a week after Claude Code came out is when I started working on it. Back then, Claude was much, much weaker. I mean, it was still an incredibly powerful tool, but it wasn't as powerful as it is today. And so I wanted to introduce some wrapper functionalities to make it more suited for efficient LLM coding. And as you can recall, I had this advanced tier here, where I said make LLMs as smart as possible. My initial attempts at this is MetaCloud. How far I want to push MetaCloud at this point, I'm not entirely sure, because Claude Code has definitely improved a lot. I'm not sure if it's quite as necessary for me to use some of these wrapper functionalities, but let me show you guys what I got, right? Let me show you guys what I got. Let me start by just checking my Claude is logged in here. Okay, my Claude is logged in, great. So if I do MetaCloud, hopefully this will just work. I really hope this just works. Alright, there we go. So the way MetaCloud works is that it gives me a multi-pane terminal where one pane is Claude, my LLM, and the other pane is the actual program that I'm developing. And some programs might involve multiple processes. For example, Versus is the game engine I'm working on that for turn-based online games, and that requires both a server and a client. And so when I run MetaCloud with Versus, it actually creates many more panes than this. It creates a server pane, it creates 2 client panes. And so MetaCloud gives me multiple panes to keep track of the entire project going on. And it also does some monitoring on the status of the project to make things more efficient. And let me show you exactly what I mean by that. The two big things it does, the first big thing it does is that it detects if your program crashes. And if it crashes, it automatically sends that crash message over to Claude to fix. And I'll show you that with this dummy program. This dummy program is directly built into MetaCloud. When you open MetaCloud for the first time, it just defaults to this being the project you're working on. It'll update what process it runs when you tell it, you know, oh, I'm working on a game engine or whatever. It'll change what process is on this pane, but the default process is this dummy process used to showcase how MetaCloud works. So as you can see, it says this dummy process lets you test out MetaCloud's crash handling and response monitoring systems. Type 1 to crash this program. Brilliant program, right? I'm going to type 1, I'm going to crash it, and it automatically sends this error message over to Claude. The idea being here is to just make the loop between the human testing and Claude working on the project as efficient as possible. That's the goal with MetaCloud. And so, as you can see, I typed 1 and crashed the program. When I crashed the program, this pane just disappeared. MetaCloud said, you don't need that pane anymore. We're not running the project right now. We got to work on some stuff. So it's dealing with the crash. Because the dummy crash is not going to do anything, as soon as MetaCloud recognizes that Claude is finished, it automatically brings the program back up. And this sort of development loop is what I wanted out of MetaCloud. And so that's what MetaCloud is. There are certain UI issues with MetaCloud right now. And they're the biggest reasons that I don't necessarily use MetaCloud all the time. And so they're the highest priorities in terms of making MetaCloud good. So, as you can see in my MetaCloud deck over in MinFlow, let me do Alt-1. Over in MinFlow, so as you can see, I have a bunch of UI issues right now. So I can't I can't paste into MetaCloud, which is really, really annoying. Especially if I need to like paste like my API key or whatever to actually log into Claude. I can't do that right now, so it's really annoying that I can't do that. So allowing Control-V, really high priority. Allowing the escape key, also high priority. So use the escape key in Claude to just like erase all the text you've written so far. Really useful, and it just doesn't work right now. I'll explain in a second why the UI stuff is broken. Claude login detection. So right now when you launch MetaCloud, it assumes that you're already logged into Claude. But if you're not, it brings up the Claude login screen, but it still treats the entire thing as if Claude is running, which is a disaster. It does, like, the crash handling system doesn't work at all the way you expect when Claude is on the login screen. So I want like a specific thing to detect when you're logged into Claude to actually bring up the rest of the MetaCloud functionality. Right now I can't scroll in Claude. That's fucking horrible. Like, I need that, you know? So big UI issues here, big UI issues. The reason we have all these UI issues is that, let me show you guys this multi-pane thing again. This multi-pane thing is tmux, and each process is its own screen, which means we're going through both screen and tmux, two levels of indirection. Those levels of indirection make it really easy to set up everything that's set up so far, but it's making UX an absolute nightmare. And so far, I've actually had not a lot of success with actually getting it to fix these problems. So what I'm going to tell MetaCloud to do, so I need to get my other window back up. If I do Alt-Shift-T, it's going to tab all the windows associated with this workspace. You see that? Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Isn't that nifty? So... okay, it looks like the last time I worked on this, I attempted to make Control-V work. I bet this doesn't work. Let me just check it real quick. Let's do Control-C. If I do Control-V, I get this filter running exclamation mark issue, and then it does paste, but like with these like really weird tokens at the start and the end. So like Control-V pasting, absolute disaster right now, right? So this is what I'm going to tell it to do. Your changes didn't work. Revert your changes to minimize LLM depth. This is one of the idioms I'm talking about that I will use over and over and over again while I vibe code. It is one of the absolute most powerful sentences that I've ever found to like make coding more stable. Because by default, these LLMs will try to fix bugs, they will fail at fixing bugs, and then they will not clean up their goddamn messes. They will keep messing up your code more and more and more, hacking their way into some kind of solution for you until they finally get it, at which point your code is this unreadable nightmare that even Claude itself can't deal with. So once your code base gets to that nightmarish, unrefactored state, Claude just starts shitting the bed in terms of actually implementing features for you. So I've started using the sentence, revert your changes to minimize LLM debt. Something I'll do sometimes is instead, I'll say something like, your changes didn't work. Review your changes, and if they are not absolutely necessary, revert them in order to minimize LLM debt. I do that because sometimes it does actually make good changes that you need. It just didn't go all the way into fixing the bug. Sometimes I'll use that full sentence. In this case, I'm not going to bother. I'm going to say just the first thing I said. Your changes didn't work. Revert them to minimize LLM debt. And then I'm going to say... what do I want to say? The core issue is that somehow the combination of tmux and screen is eating the paste input as well as some other inputs like scrolling and escape key. Think deeply, analyze the code base fully, and research the issue, then come up with a plan for resolving these UX issues. And we'll let that run. And in the meantime, let's we can go back to Cerberus and Claude and see how they're doing, because we kind of spent a while on this one. So let's go ahead and see how they're doing. Control-Alt-1, go back to Cerberus here. Okay, so here's the plan I came up with, Alt plus up down. To be honest, I don't even read the plan I came up with half the time. I just make it come up with the plan because then it does a better job. I usually don't really have to read this unless it's some like very weird feature that I'm not sure it's going to understand what I'm talking about. In this case, I think it's pretty intuitive what I was trying to explain to it. So, yeah, I'm like not even going to bother to read it. Do it. Vibe coding. Alright, and while that works, let's go over to MinFlow, see how that's doing. Okay. Current status of Control-Z feature. The Control-Z feature has been stashed and is not currently active. Oh, so it was stashed as part of the Git Stash UK. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. In that case, we'll get back to the Control-Z later. I want to work on other stuff with MinFlow rather than Control-Z. Like, I think this bug is more important. I think some of these other things are more important. So, as you can see, I can like easily I can easily drag cards around in the deck to change the order. So I've like reordered things, so now I have this bug on top instead. So we're going to go ahead and tell it about this bug. I do not want to bring back the undo functionality. What branch? Let me ask what branch we're in. I think we're in... Are we in Postgres branch? I guess we'll find out. I guess I'll just keep developing in this branch. That should be okay. But yeah, I'm going to tell it, okay, there is currently a, I can't spell, Luckily, Minflow doesn't. Sorry, Claude doesn't really care that I can smell. So there's currently a bug where doing things like adding a card or reordering the card list in a deck removes whatever filter I set from the color, shape, size filters. Don't edit the code, analyze the code base, and diagnose the issue. Don't edit the code, analyze, and diagnose is another one of my favorite idioms. I love analyze and diagnose. I like it less when my text all gets eaten. I guess it's like it's hanging a bit because it's currently compacting all the history. That's okay. That's okay. Let's check on servers real quick while we wait for that. Okay, it's running. Let's check on Metacloud. Okay, it's still doing research here. It'll probably take a bit of time over that. Is Metacloud done with this? Or, sorry, is Minflow done with this? It's offline. So sometimes it like struggles to connect to Claude. I had to wait a bit. I'm not too concerned. I'll just let it do its thing. Okay, it's making progress again. Great. Looks like it's eating my text, so I'll wait for this to like finish compacting. So let's go on to our other projects that we're working on. Let's go to Versus because frankly I have not touched Versus in a bit, and I would like to start making momentum on Versus again. Control-6. There we go. All right. I like to use Metacloud for Versus because, like I said, Versus is a server-client protocol because it's a multiplayer game engine, and so I like having multiple processes being handled by Metacloud at once. I mostly don't use Metacloud because of the UX issues, but for Versus specifically, I do use Metacloud. Hopefully, it'll all just work. Let's go ahead and activate a virtual environment. Let's make sure we're logged into Claude because, like I said, there's that Claude login bug right now, so I want to make sure I'm already logged into Claude here. Okay, looks like we're good. Metacloud. Metacloud also has some other features I haven't talked about yet, but we'll get to that. Let's go ahead and open Metacloud here. And hopefully it should just bring up all our Godot processes. Let's see, so we have Minflow. I've got my Minflow on another monitor over here, or my Minflow clouding. Looks like it's done with its compacting, so now we can go back to typing here. Okay. There's currently a bug doing things like adding a card or reordering the card list in a deck. Removes whatever filter. Okay. Don't edit the code, analyze the code base, and diagnose the issue. Okay, we'll let this run. Metacloud here is not running. I'm a little concerned about that. Let's go ahead and let me bring up Metacloud over here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this Metacloud instance. In theory, it should absolutely be able to support multiple instances, but I think Metacloud's in a pretty unstable state right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do Metacloud kill, which will kill the existing Metacloud server. Metacloud is server-based in the same way like Tmux is. You have a server, and you have multiple sessions that connect to that server. And I'm going to go ahead and check if we have some lingering Tmux sessions. Okay, we don't. Okay, let's try running Metacloud again. Hopefully this should just work. And we have a concerning... Okay, there we go, Cool, Metacloud's up. As you can see, there's 4 panes. One is for Claude. Don't ask me why Claude is so small. I gotta fix this UI stuff, man. Don't ask me why Claude is so small. But we got the 4 panes. It's gonna be 1 server and 2 clients, effectively. Or is there... There might be an additional pane not being shown. Because there's already... Okay, it looks like there's also an install checker. So I guess there's actually 4 processes being handled here. I can show you guys what this looks like, actually. So if we go to... Here. Let's send that to workspace 11. Let's go ahead and change this to workspace 11. Let's go ahead and tab these. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new window. Which we're going to move over to our versus workspace. And I'm going to open our directory. We got versus. So basically, MetaCloud keeps track of this file called commands.txt. The default command.txt is just that dummy process that I showed you guys earlier with the crash handling test system. But MetaCloud updates commands.txt with whatever processes that you actually care about. And so here we have 4 processes. There's the direct install, and there's 3. There's basically a server and 2 clients. It shows 4 panes per page, I guess. What is the? Is it Alt N for going to the next page in Tmux? I'm trying to remember. I want to say it's Alt N. I don't want to screw it up though. Let me just look it up. That's easier to do. Let me just ask it something stupid. Alright, Claude, how do I switch pages in Tmux? In Tmux, you do Control B, then N. Okay. Okay, we can do that. So if I do Control B and then N, we go to the next page. As you can see, Claude is like pinned so that you can see it on every single page you go to. And these 2 are grayed out because there's nothing happening here, but this is our other client process, so you guys can see that now. Is it do Control B then P? Okay, Control B, P. Okay. Cool. So we have our 2 clients. The server is running. If I recall, where I left versus off was that we do have a functioning lobby system, but the games themselves are not super functional. I want to say that's the case, so let's do browse lobby. Let's create a lobby here for chess, I guess. Lobby. It's a great name for a lobby, right? Create the lobby, and did creating the lobby not fucking work? Do I refresh list? Alright, looks like we got an issue. We got a pretty fundamental issue. The create lobby button doesn't work. Is it because it's focused on tic-tac-toe right now? Maybe that's why I left it off. Let me check that real quick. Alright, well, we have an issue. So let's go ahead and tell versus the issue. It seems that the create lobby button on the... What's the window called? Is it the game lobbies window? The game lobbies window is currently doing nothing at all. It worked in the past. I'm pretty sure it did work in the past. So I'm going to tell you that it worked in the past. Don't edit the code. Analyze and diagnose the issue. And now I'm going to do... I don't press enter here. In MetaCloud, what I do is I press control square bracket, because what it does is it takes the message I just gave it and modifies it just a little bit. As you can see, it appended this thing on the end, followed the main protocol. It looks like it's... Because of the weird UI glitch, it like did something weird, but it basically added this follow the main protocol at the end. And now it's going to check a file called cloud.md, where I have a bunch of instructions for it about specific things to do that are related to MetaCloud, like update commands.txt and stuff like that. And so now it's going to work on this, and while it works on this, we're going to take a look at our other projects. Oof. Alright. Perfect. I've successfully implemented... Let's see how full of shit you are, Claude. Let's see how full of shit you are. Oh, wait. Oh, hang on. Based on this, it looks like it's defining... It thought by unused workspaces, I meant the workspaces that have no windows on them, because, to be fair, that is how I've used that word in the past. So I'll tell it... Oops. Sometimes I like being nice to Claude. Sometimes I'm really mean to Claude. But sometimes I like being nice to Claude. Oops. When I said unused workspaces, In this context, I actually just meant any workspace that is not currently assigned to a monitor. So I'll just go have it fix that. While it works on that, let's go take a look at MinFlow. And okay, so let's see. I'll analyze the codebase to diagnose the filter bug issue. I've identified the root cause of the filter issue. You set filters, and they're stored in this.filters. You do your add reorder cards. This triggers a WebSocket event. The WebSocket handler runs, and this.filters are never reapplied to the fresh data. The fix would be add this.apply filters. That sounds reasonable enough. Do it. Do it, motherfucker. All right. In the meantime, let's go look at MetaCloud. So this is. I hope you guys are seeing basically how I manage a lot of LLM projects at once. Being able to swap monitors quickly, really helpful for this. Being able to look at MinFlow initially was really helpful for this. And whenever these tasks get finished, I'll be going back to MinFlow saying this task is completed. Look at what the next task is and move on, etc. Okay, so this is what MetaCloud says about, this is what Claude says about how to fix MetaCloud. I'm gonna move this notepad to a different window. So let's just move it to workspace 1. All right. So I do want to make the Cerberus tabbing a bit better, because when you have 3 windows like this, I think the first window should be like a vertical window, you know. It's not doing that right now. Let me go ahead and add that to my MinFlow to do. So if I do Alt 2 over here, let's do Alt 2 over or Alt 1 over here. Yeah. So we're gonna add make tiling nicer. Alright, it looks like my versus stuff showed up. So let's go ahead and take a look at whether these are working now. Or they shouldn't be working actually, because I just told it to analyze the issue. I didn't tell it to fix the issue. Let's go ahead and switch back to Cerberus to versus real quick. See what it thinks about the issue. Okay. Key issues identified. See, this is why I really need scrolling in MetaCloud, dude. I can't scroll up here. Shit. Well, let's see what's done. Create lobby button is connected to blah, blah, blah. It should do blah, blah, blah. Key issues identified. The control uses unique name syntax to find nodes, but here's extensive fallback code. Oh, I used to... recently, I've been very adamant about Claude not incorporating fallback code, because by default, Claude incorporates so much goddamn fallback code. It insists on making things backwards compatible. It's a huge pain in the ass. So I try to very actively tell it not to do that stuff. But this code was largely written before that. So you know what I'm actually going to do? This is what I'm actually going to do. I'm actually not going to work on versus in the current state it's in. I'm going to do a trick that I've tried with different projects in the past to great success. I'm going to do something that I call the spec autoencoder. What is a spec autoencoder? It's when you have an existing program, you tell Claude, make a really in-depth spec of this program such that a different Claude instance could re-implement it just from the spec, and then you have a new Claude instance re-implemented in a new branch. And you get some very good results this way. Ideally, you read the spec before you actually have it go off and do it. Sometimes I'm a little bit lazy because vibe coding. But let's go ahead and tell it to make this spec. Okay. Create. I'm actually gonna just switch to regular Claude because I don't need MetaCloud for this at all. And let's do, is there a lingering TMUX session? No, there's not. Is there a lingering MetaCloud session? Yeah, there's a server still, so let's go ahead and kill that. Okay, Claude, dangerously skip permissions. My favorite form of Claude. I like to live dangerously. Oh, I should bring up my chat again. So let me go ahead and do Alt 0 to bring up workspace 10. Wow, another channel growth strategist. It's so nice of all of you channel growth strategists to come to my stream. Okay, so I'm going to tell it, create a detailed, in-depth spec.m. Okay, well, that's actually analyze the code base deeply Create a detailed, analyze the code base and star.md deeply. Is there already something called spec.md? Let me check that real quick. There is not. Okay, great. Create a detailed, in-depth spec.md for the project such that a fresh Claude code instance in a fresh directory could fully re-implement it from scratch. The spec should be clear, clean, concise, well organized, and most of all, human readable. You should do multiple passes through the spec to check for inconsistencies or oddities. All right, so now we're doing that. Let's switch back to MinFlow, I guess. Okay, the filter bug has been resolved. I don't think I need to restart the web server for this, so let me go ahead and switch to the actual MinFlow here and test this stuff out. I have been on the wrong stream overlay this whole time. Shoot. Thank you for letting me know. Alright, here I am. Oops. I don't know how that happened. I wonder how long it's been like that. Alright, so let's test if this feature worked in MinFlow. So now if I reorder things, or let me set up a size filter real quick. Let me set up let's do octagon filter. If I reorder things, what happens? Well, now I can't even reorder things at all. Let me go ahead and just restart the processes just in case. Usually sometimes there's some weirdness there, but okay. Sort by octagon, go here, move this around, and yeah, reordering. Oh, it was just slow. It was just slow. Okay. I guess I didn't need to do the restart to make that work. But it looks like it's working now. It looks like the filter is persisting, which is great. That's perfect. So if I just try an experiment real quick, let me try completing the top task. Okay, that worked. Now I gotta undo that obviously because we haven't completed it yet. But okay, so let's take a look at well, let's go ahead and complete this top task because we've actually completed this task. This bug is fixed. Amazing. So the next thing to do in MinFlow is, it says recurrent overhaul. There's something in I have a concept in MinFlow called a recurrent deck. Basically, like I said, each deck is a project, with each card being a task in the project. But sometimes you have sort of routines, right? Like for Chyper, for example, if I unfilter this. For Chyper, these are things I'm doing for him every single day. I'm giving him breakfast every single day. This is not a one-time project. I have to give him breakfast every single day. It's a very bad thing if I don't give him breakfast, right? All of these things I have to do every single day, right? So this is something that I want to be a recurrent deck. What I mean by a recurrent deck is that essentially I want the deck to cycle around, right? Instead of just taking the card off the top of the deck when you complete the task, it kind of goes back on the bottom of the deck, right? Technically, that's already currently implemented. So as you can see, all the decks that have this little green symbol here, these are all recurrent decks. And if I complete a process, let's say I do complete top task, it puts breakfast back on the bottom of the deck here, right? The thing is, this has some kind of UI weirdnesses to it, where, as you can see, this used to say 0 out of 13, now it says 1 out of 14. So it's incrementing both the numerator and the denominator. That's really weird. Also, if I undo what I just did, it kind of treats that a bit weirdly. Now I have 2 breakfasts. That's a little weird, right? And so I think what I want to do for recurrent decks is, instead of having it be recurrent for every card I complete, I just say, when the deck is empty, then bring back all of the completed tasks into the deck. I think that's what I want. And I also want to have a reset button that automatically brings back all the completed tasks, even if you haven't completed the deck yet. So I'm going to tell Minflow to work on that. Great, it worked. Commit and push, and then I want to change the recurrent system. Current behavior. Completing a task clones the card and places the clone at the bottom of the deck. What I want instead, when completing a task, check if the deck is empty. If so, and only then, clone all completed how do I want to do this? I want the completed tab to look different for recurrent tasks. So maybe not clone them. Actually, clone is fine. Clone Clone all completed tasks and place them in the deck, and then make sure the completed tab no longer shows the previous cycle of completed tasks. This will probably require tasks to have an additional flag. What else do I want to say? There should also be a reset button on the side panel for recurrent decks, grayed out for non-recurrent decks, that clones all completed tasks and places them on top of the existing tasks in the deck, while handling the completed task history in the same way I just mentioned. Don't edit the code yet. Analyze the code base and come up with a plan to implement this. Alright, and while it works on that, let's take a look at Cerberus. Okay. I understand. You want to cycle through workspaces that are not currently visible in any monitor. My implementation is actually already correct for that. I'm checking workspaces not assigned to any monitor. What? Oh. Wait, I thought it... Wait, why is it saying that this will only cycle through these, but... No, it's... No. You're not understanding. So... Are you sure you did this correctly? Because you just gave me a list of used workspaces that is significantly more than the number of monitors I'm using, which makes it look like you defined used based on whether anything is assigned to the workspace yet. Please double check your implementation and the previous things you told me. Alright, let's take a look at Versus. Okay, Versus is still working on the spec. That's fine. Let's take a look at Metaclod. So it gave me some options for this. Go ahead and move this over here and do this. This is like a tiling improvement that I want. Okay. Option 1, remove screen layer. That would completely fuck up the entire architecture entirely. The current architecture very much needs screen, so I would really rather not do that without like really thinking it through. fix current architecture. If screen must be kept, disable TMX mouse mode. Use screen -X commands. Keep screen only for Claude window. Run other commands directly in TMX. Well, the Claude window is where I'm having the issues. So Claude window is where I'm having the issues. So option 3 doesn't work, and I really need screen. So option 1 doesn't work. Go into option 2 in detail. Okay, let's go check. Let's go check Cerberus again. You're absolutely correct. Looking at my implementation, I see that I'm properly checking the right thing. So the unused should be this very long list. My implementation is correct. Okay. In that case, we're going to go ahead and hit reload script on Cerberus. One of the cool features Cerberus has is that it does save the current state. So I shouldn't have to redo everything I just did in terms of assigning windows to workspaces. So let's go ahead and reload. It's going to bring everything back up. Okay. And it looks like it hasn't added the new hotkeys to the instructions yet, so I'll tell it to do that next. But let's go ahead and try Alt Up and Alt Down. So if I do Alt Up, what I should expect to see is that workspace 11 goes to workspace 12. Hell yeah! Look at that! That's awesome! Does down work the same way? Oh my god, let's fucking go. So now I'm going to do up again, and now I'm going to go to workspace 13, which is currently on a different monitor, so it should swap the monitors. Let's find out. No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't swap the monitors because it's only going to the unused workspaces. That's right. So it should actually skip that monitor and go to 14, and that's what it did. Great, fantastic. Down arrow does the same. Skips 13, goes to 12. Fantastic. Great, it works. Cool. And we can go ahead and check that off of our minflow. Complete top task. Okay, so we have the next thing we want to work on Cerberus is this verbose overlay. We need Mohammed, what are you thinking in terms of the best way to give the information as to like what the name of the overlay should be? Like how should we like give this information to Cerberus? That's what I'm thinking about right now. Like if it brought up some like 2-column thing where like you can fill in a cell, that would be cool. I don't know how realistic that is as something to implement here. Maybe AHK has some pop-up. As in, do you think there should be a hotkey for assign name to current overlay? I guess that can work. We can do an assign name to current overlay. We can do that. Yeah. Okay, so we can do that. So what are my currently used hotkeys? Let me check real quick. So we can do N for that. N for name, I guess. Okay. Add the current... Oopsies. Where am I typing? I don't know where the heck I'm typing. Okay, there we go. Add the hotkeys you just implemented to the instructions dialog. New hotkey. Alt-Shift-N. This should pop up a dialog window that allows the user to assign a name to the active workspace. You need to keep track of a map from workspaces to names, with them being blank/empty by default. I was thinking keep the name by the number. I'm worried that the alignment will look weird if I do that. I guess I could do that if I switch it to lower left corner to lower right corner. I feel like I would prefer to keep the two overlays like separate from each other aesthetically. Do you mind if I try that first? I want to try like keeping the name on the lower left first. Yo, what's up, King Gray? It is Pride of PX. Pride of Axioms, indeed. We're doing a lot of vibe coding today, King Gray. I'm working on 5 different projects in parallel. And so right now, I'm giving servers a new feature to implement. You need to keep track of a map from workspaces names with them being blank empty by default. You should display the name of the overlay, if not blank empty, in the lower left corner of the monitor with the same cyan border rectangle style as the workspace number overlay. What else do I want to say here? I guess that's sufficient. Oh, I need to wait. I want to wait to like make that overlay go away. The verbose overlay go away. Now let's see how it is for now. Maybe it's okay to like, I'll just keep that around for now. So let's just see how that is for now. Don't edit the code, make a plan. Bro, the fuck are you doing? Why did you just... There are merge conflicts? Bro, what the hell are you talking about? Why are there merge conflicts? There shouldn't be merge conflicts. What are you doing? Why are there merge conflicts? Oh, did I... Wait, I'm a little confused by that. Because I thought I've just been, What the hell is Claude doing? Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, dude. That's what I'm wondering. Were we out of sync with the remote? Is that what happened? I guess that's what happened. I mean, it looks like it's purely adding code without really deleting that much. Oh, it deleted these 2 things, which I did ask it to delete before, so I think that should all be fine. I'm gonna ask it what the hell it's doing after it's done. Seems like your servers didn't even have Git directory. But it should have. Oh, dude, it's probably an artifact from when I RM'd everything. That's probably a fucking artifact from when I accidentally RM. Yeah, so guys, a few days ago I RM'd my entire fucking code directory, literally every single one of my projects. And I guess it lost some Git information that I didn't restore. So I guess that's why it's doing some wild shit. But it should be okay. Let me just reload this just in case. Just to make sure it's still working as intended. Alright, let's just test some basic things. So let's just check basic workspace switching. That looks like it works. That looks like it works. Alt up. That works. Alt down works. Okay, I'm gonna work on the assumption that everything's working. Alright. Add the hotkeys, blah blah blah. Okay, let's go ahead and tell it to do this stuff. And then let's switch back to MinFlow. Which now I can just do it Alt up. That's crazy. Implementation plan for new recurrent system. Change from clone on complete to clone on all clone all when empty with cycle tracking. Add cycle field. So it's gonna presumably it'll use this field to like make the completion history look a little different. Update card model. Add cycle property to track which generation the card is from. Current cards will be cycle 0. Oh, that's interesting. That's not how I was expecting it to be like a Boolean flag, but I guess that works. I guess that's fine. That's pretty interesting, actually. Lets you know like how many days you've been doing this for. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. Remove automatic cloning completion. Add empty deck detection. Implement bulk cloning function. Add reset button. Disable / hidden for non-recurrent. Update completed tab filtering. Only show completed cards from previous cycles. Current cycle completed card should be hidden once new cycle starts. For number 7, I want to only show completed cards from the current cycle and not from previous cycles. Good thing I actually read the plan this time, right, guys? Bro, why is backspace broken in Cloud? That's the one thing I hate about Cloud. The backspace button doesn't properly work. It's really annoying. Okay, and not from previous cycles. I can't spell! Or type! Okay, it's fine. It'll figure out what I mean. Okay. Let me bring on YouTube real quick. Bring up current topic here. All right, so let's go back to, I guess, MetaCloud. Let's take a look at how it's doing over there. Summary of changes made. Disabled Tmux mouse mode to prevent input interception. Added proper terminal overrides for... I'm going to be honest, I expect none of this to actually work, but I'm going to test it. I don't think I need to reinstall, but just in case. And then, I guess while it's doing this, let's go ahead and take a look at the Cerberus plans for workspace naming feature. I don't really think I need to read through this, to be honest. I think it was pretty simple what I was telling it to do. Yeah, I'll just have to do it. Do eat. No, don't edit the code. Fuck. Okay, do it. Alright, let's check on verses. The specification is now detailed enough that a fresh Cloud Code instance could fully re-implement the framework from scratch with clear explanations for all, etc., etc. Okay, create a new branch spec AE, spec auto-encoded, that only contains the new spec file and none of the other files. Alright, so this pip install finish. Successfully installed. Okay, let's go ahead and I'll maximize this. Let's go ahead and let me see if I need to kill the server. Okay, no server running. Let's run. Please work, please work, please work. Yo, $6. How's it going, homie? It's good to see you, man. We're doing a lot of coding today. I'm currently trying to work on 5 different projects in parallel. We've got a multi-workspace manager. We've got a to-do list app for multi-project management. We have an LLM agent wrapper. We have a game engine. Actually, it's just been those 4. I haven't really done any of the research project today, but at least these 4 I've been working on. Okay, so let's check if this UI stuff works. Let me just copy, paste a word. So if I do Control V, no, but still giving me the same filter running exclamation error. It's still giving me that same stupid issue. And escape also gives me the filter running issue. So I've got to tell Claude that its shit did not work. And I'm going to keep telling it to try to figure it out. Instead of me trying to figure it out, because that's the point. This did not work at all. I'm seeing the same filter running blah 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 message when I try Control V or Escape key. I still have that weird bracket 200 and bracket 201 symbols showing up at the start and end of my pasted input, and also it auto submits. Review the changes you made, and if they are not absolutely necessary, once again, my absolute favorite idiom to use is the LMs. This is how I keep things as stable as possible. Sounds good, Sixplex. I don't know how much later I'll be on, I'll be honest with you, but I hope to see you. Review the changes you made, and if they are not absolutely necessary, revert them in order to minimize LM debt, then come up with a new plan. Ideally keeping the screen tmux architecture. Okay, now we're going to take a look at Cerberus. Let's take a look at Cerberus. This is Minflow, this is not Cerberus. Cerberus. Okay, cool. It's still working on it. That's fine. Let's take a look at Minflow. Okay, so in theory, this should be working. No, this is an updated implementation plan, actually. So let's see if it did everything correctly. Manually triggers new cycle even if... Okay, Clonzo. Okay. Where's up? Completed tab filtering. Okay, looks good. Do it. Great. Let's take a look at Versus. How are we doing over there? Okay, so it's created the new branch. It still has all these other files. Here's what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do, actually. One second. Why am I getting permission denied? That's weird. Can I at least make a directory? Will let me do that? Okay, here, let me do that. So let's copy from versus spec. Bro, what is your problem? What? I just told you to... Where's the spec that you made? I'm so confused. What? You told me you just made a spec. Okay, let's figure this out. Oh, it put it inside another subdirectory called versus. I see. Okay, that's fine. We can deal with that. Copy versus less versus s spec to versus new cd versus new Claude. Dangerously skip permissions. Thoroughly read and understand spec.md. Don't implement anything yet. Come up with a full plan to fully implement the spec with all features comprehensively. Giving it a lot of reinforcement to not skimp on this. And I guess I should take a look at the spec myself, but MVC design architecture, client server, abstract game framework, singleton pattern for global systems, event-driven communication using Godot signals, all of that seems fine. I mean, at a high level, that all seems good. I don't want to read the rest of it, so hopefully it just figures it out. And yeah, we are going to re-implement this once it's done with the spec. Let's take a look at Cerberus. I'm sure Cerberus is done by now. No, Cerberus is actually not done by now. I'm a little surprised by that. Okay. How's Minflow doing? Minflow's also not done. How's Spetaclaw doing? Do we have a plan? Do we have a plan, Stan? Let's take a look. Bro, I said don't edit the code, you motherfucker! What the fuck did you do? Oh, did I not say edit the code? Maybe I didn't say that. Oh, I said to revert the changes. I guess that's what it is. It just reverted a bunch of changes, so that's fine. Reverting the changes is fine. But now it's... Okay, it went ahead and just implemented option B. I should have told it not to edit the code and wait, but it's okay. Let's see what it is. Use a FIFO/name pipe. Okay, that's certainly interesting. What are the other options we've considered? Use screen's command mode. After analysis, the problem is fundamental. Screen's exec always creates... Since we must keep screen, we need to move the key binding a lot. What? Wait, so does it not think the pipe is good enough? Gotta use plan mode. I mean, when I tell it specifically not to edit it, it automatically goes into plan mode. I'm not. I guess I could use it more. Is it what £? What is how do I do plan mode again? The changes I just made will be sufficient to fix your immediate issues. The trade-off is you disabled all my fucking shit. No! No! I mean, okay, fine, I'll check if your shit works, but, like, if you have to disable everything to make it work, then, like, that's not actually helpful for me. You know? That's, like, not fucking helpful for me, man. I mean, I guess I'll check to see if it works, but... Shift tab, okay, cool, thanks. Minflow still at work. Let's take a look at Cerberus over here. Okay, I've successfully implemented the workspace naming feature. Okay, let's take a look and try that. Okay, looks like Metacloud's about to finish installing, so I guess we'll test Metacloud first. We'll go ahead and run Metacloud. Okay, so I'll type some stuff. Escape. Bro, escape doesn't even like the changes didn't even fucking work. Oh my god. In fact, it actually like submitted the thing. Okay. Your changes didn't work and I need the custom key bindings. Revert the changes. Don't make edits beyond that. Give me your best proposals. I think I might have to do some deeper research myself without Claude, because I have a feeling Claude's not going to figure this out. I'll do it later. I'm not going to do it right now. But I'll give this a bit more of a try. I have found that just like telling Claude to do it over and over and over again and reverting its changes every single time does usually, in fact, get the job done. I have noticed this, particularly with the newest model of Claude. I do absolutely tell it to revert the changes, otherwise it shits the bed. But if I tell it to revert the changes, it absolutely, most of the time, does eventually figure this shit out. For this particular thing, it's a really weird situation, so it may not figure it out. I'm not too pressed about it. Alright, let's take a look at its proposals. Proposal 1, move Claude to direct tmux, But then I don't have Claude pinned on every page, which I want. That's really hard to do if you do go direct tmux. When you have screen, you can have different pages all connect to the same screen, and that's like really useful. Because I want Claude to be pinned on all my tmux pages essentially. What's proposal 2? External input handler via PTY. Creates a pseudo-terminal wrapper that sits between tmux and screen. That's exactly what I want, an extra layer of indirection. Replace screen with detach. Detach is simpler than screen. Oh, is detach actually what I want? Mohammed, have you used detach before? Do you think detach would just substitute cleanly for screen in my situation? Let me ask you more about detach. Tell me more about detach versus screen and do a deep dive into the code base to see if all current screen functionalities can be re-implemented in detach. Don't edit the code. All right. I want to test Cerberus. So let's go ahead and reload the script again. Reload. It's gonna take everything down, bring everything back up. Okay. All right, let's name the current workspace. Cerberus. What the fuck is that? Bro, what is that? What am I looking at? What if I switch and come back? Then is this gonna fix itself? Okay, looks like we have a little bit of a problem. If I do Alt-Shift-W, does it show me the name of the workspace here? Okay, okay. 2 issues. First, it is showing some kind of cyan box overlay in the lower left, but I don't see the name I provided. All I see is a period. And also, the box is not fit to the size of the text. Second, Alt-Shift-W does not show the workspace names. Review the changes you made. Most likely, some are necessary, but some are not. Revert the unnecessary ones to minimize LLM debt. Then give a plan for fixing these issues without editing the code further. Okay, looks like MinFlow is still at work. Looks like MetaCloud is still at work. Let's take a look at how Versus is doing. Control 6 was it? Yeah. It's still working too. So everything's working right now. And it's starting to warm up in my room a bit, guys. I've got all the clouds going right now. I feel like I've gotten a lot of momentum on my projects. I kind of know where I am mentally with everything going on with my coding right now. So I think this is a good time for me to bounce. I'm going to go meditate. I'm going to go make myself some food I haven't eaten yet. So yeah, thank you all for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I will be back on later this week and we'll do more vibe coding and hopefully more other stuff too. Sweet. See you guys.